Test clerk mic 1. Test on the dais 1. Dais 2. October what? Dais 4. Test clerk mic 1. Dais 5. Podium 2. Test on the dais 1. Podium 2. Podium 3. October what? Dais 4. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Student of the Month ceremony. We're all so proud to have all of these students here and recognize their achievements for this past month and throughout the school year. We're getting close to the end of the school year. And of course, recognize their parents, guardians, and the rest of their support system. Obviously, they wouldn't accomplish what they have without everyone's help too, especially as a former teacher, I can attest to that. So we're going to start the little ceremony, and Commissioner Borum, could you assist? Kevin Hastings from Brown Pierce Elementary School.
We'll line up right here. We'll start on this point here. And as you come up, just come around, just line up side by side. So there'll be room for everybody.
Katie Moore, Children's Reading Center Charter School. Anybody here for Paxton Scott, Hillcrest Academy. Empress Rose, James A. Long Elementary. Hayden Hutter, Kelly Smith Elementary. Michaela Werthauser, Mellon Learning Center. Dania Passmore, Mosley Elementary. Harvey Neely, Palatka Junior Senior High. Alex Zumba, Kanaya Baptist. Rashad Sessions, Putnam Academy of Arts and Science. Thank you, Oliver. Give me a minute. Demarcus Anderson. Take this photo. Image minute. Students will take a picture with the student. You'll kind of line up over there, you're going to line up. Want to do one and okay, stop it, that is, and she's up here, and then for a minute. One at a time. Well, we can do usually have you two together, and we can do one together. They just have to kind of wait. Thank you.
Wait, your turn. One more. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Good. I'm watching.
All right. Actually, I'm you get to keep that. That's you. Oh, this is somebody else. Oh, Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Palatka City Commission meeting on April 27th, 2023. I'm calling the meeting to order. We're going to start with the invocation. Dr. Mulberry.
Good evening, everyone. Father, we thank you for this night. We thank you for this opportunity to come together once again. We thank you, Father, for how good you have been all day long. You brought us together one more time to do the business of the city. We pray, dear God, for your wisdom and guidance in all decisions that will be made. We pray, God, that you would give us decorum. You would give us how to conduct ourselves in your sight and in the sight of men. Remind us that we are leaders, that we represent you. We thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Ms. Thomas, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioner Tammy McCaskill.
Here.
Commissioner Justin Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner Will Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Rufus Borum.
Present.
Mayor Robbie Correa.
Present.
All members are present and accounted for. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes from April 13th, 2023?
Second.
And with motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, approved unanimously. Public recognition presentations. Presentation from the Florida Clubhouse Coalition. Brett Buell, Development Director, Gainesville Opportunities Center.
Aye.
Welcome, Mr. Buell. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I wanted to talk to you about a program that we have called a Mental Health Clubhouse. Clubhouses help adults living with chronic, severe, persistent mental illness get back into the community, find jobs, and keep jobs. The people that we help are our members, not patients, not clients, because the clubhouse is a place of belonging. Mental illness is a leading cause of work-related disability in the United States. With the right support, though, people can and do work again. In our model, we follow a recovery through work routine. Our members come to our center. They first get their medical attention from their regional medical centers or private doctors, whoever gives them their conditions. But if they're getting care 1 day or 2 days a month, what happens to them the other 28 days of the month? So over where I am in Gainesville, a lot of them will come to the Gainesville Opportunity Center and they will participate in our workday. So there is no job that is staff only or member only. The members get the opportunity to participate in everything that we do. So they help with marketing, they help with reception, they help cook, they help clean. We all do this together. And in doing so, the members gain a sense of confidence. They realize they come in the door often thinking, I've been unemployed for 5 years or 10 years. I've been in jail. I've been in a hospital. I have proven to everybody that I can't do anything. And they come to the clubhouse and they participate in our work day and they can do things. And they think I can't do that. And they try something and they do it. And you just see over time this transformation. They get a big smile on their face that, wow, look what I just did. They see other people that they've met in the system, that they've met in hospitals. They see other people succeeding. They see other people moving on and getting jobs and moving forward with their life. And all of this is a transforming and empowering process. And it just helps them go through an incredible metamorphosis. One of the things, if any of you guys ever get over to Gainesville and want to come see our center, which is very much like the 350 clubhouses around the world, you'll come and you'll see a lot of really happy people in there. You'll see a lot of smiles. You'll see a lot of people feeling like I can be myself, that I'm not being judged. Smiles and laughter aren't things that you would associate with a mental health treatment facility. but that's what's going on at the Gainesville Opportunity Center. People are becoming happy. People are proud of their accomplishments. The way this model started years ago is in the 40s. They were letting people out of psychiatric hospitals in New York. Somehow or another, they got a place to congregate, and they used it as a base to try to look for jobs. And they didn't have anybody to help them because there wasn't any support. And so they needed somebody to answer the phone. They needed somebody to take messages. Sooner or later, they had people, there all day. So somebody needed to make coffee. Somebody needed to make lunch. Somebody had to clean up. And so now you had all these people coming out of a psychiatric hospital that, especially back then, they thought couldn't do anything for themselves. And here they are not only helping themselves, but they're helping other people. The social workers noticed it in the 1960s, and they kind of helped organize it, and that's how the clubhouse movement was born. Now, again, 50 years later, we're looking at 350 clubhouses worldwide and 14 in Florida. That sounds like a lot, but there are 67 counties in Florida, and there's only 14 clubhouses. One of the biggest obstacles to people getting our services is transportation. People that we're helping are mostly living below the poverty line. Most of them don't have a car. Most of them don't have a way to get to our services. And even though we do not charge anything for our services, they can't get them. By the way, most of our funding does come from the Florida Department of Children and Families, and we are contracted for mental health clubhouse services. So it's a real category. It's also a Medicaid category that public health centers can bill for as well. So that's just a little bit of background and information on that. Over the past few years, the Florida Department of Children and Families has gone to a recovery-oriented system of care emphasis. So, it's a never-ending cycle. Somebody gets hospitalized, they get Baker acted, and they're in the hospital for 3 days or a week, and then what happens? They get let out and they get put back in their environment, and then there's no support. They don't have a job. Maybe they lost their job because they went to the hospital. They don't have anything to do. They might not even have any medication. They don't have money. So what happens? They go back in the hospital. It's a never-ending cycle. And a 3-day hospitalization costs 10 grand. And so you get people that are hospitalized 5 times a year, 10 times a year. The government, the taxpayer, is paying a lot of money for these services that, while they may end up saving the person's life, are not really rehabilitating them or giving them a path back like they need. And that's what the clubhouses do. My point today is that I just wanted to educate you guys about our process and what we have over in Gainesville. That as part of the Florida Clubhouse Coalition, we are advocating for the expansion of clubhouses throughout the state. We hope that maybe at some point, Palatka, Putnam County, and a coalition may get together and start a clubhouse here in this vicinity. So, is it okay? Can I stop for a moment? Are there any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Hill?
Questions for the funding project, and I think you touched on that.
Yeah, I believe you guys got some of these materials, and in this material, I wanted to point out that of people that have participated in a mental health clubhouse, and this is again the severe, chronic, persistent mental illness population. If they participated in a clubhouse in Florida over the past year, 89% reported an improved quality of life. 98% achieved fewer or no psychiatric hospitalizations, and 97% report fewer or no encounters with law enforcement. And so what the clubhouse process is doing is that we are making lives better, and we're also saving the taxpayer money. We're helping people work again. We have a program called Transitional Employment, where we have an agreement with certain employers. They let us pick somebody to go into that job, and they don't have to interview. We end up training them in the job. So our staff goes in and works with them until they get up to speed. So they're not working with strangers. And then we interact with the bosses. If there's any problems, if there's any reason we need to go back. Because, chronic to, contrary to a lot of common myth, you know, more people with mental illness are not dangerous to others, they're dangerous to themselves. They don't, they lose their activity levels, they don't care if, you know, they might have a job, but they don't care. And then they lose their housing and then they lose everything and then the spiral starts. So we need to look for restorative, humanistic ways to help people get a path back in a clubhouse is one way to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation and I agree. And I also saw in the packet that the funding was a combination of UCF contract and funding from county, city, and other sources as well.
Yes. Yeah, so.
And do you have a budget for your program?
So our particular program, so all the clubhouses in the state are independent and they all have different budgets and some of them have much larger budgets than ours. But you really need about $500,000 to run this program because you need 5 or 6 employees. You need to be able to give field support to go out and help people with employment and things like that. One of the things that we've accomplished in the Florida clubhouses by coming together is that the Florida Department of Children and Families has put a line item in their budget every year for clubhouses. We have since hired a lobbyist and there would, you know, obviously I can't guarantee it, but there would probably be some seed money from DCF to help start a program. But the seed money wouldn't be enough to run the program wholeheartedly. It would need private support. It would need city support and other things. City, county, some examples of things you could do is if you have meeting space, you have a place where they could come together. You know, even if you didn't have a lot of money to pay somebody, I know that in Alachua County, there's a lot of unused space that they have here and there. And so those are some things that you guys could possibly do to help get a clubhouse off the ground.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Best, you did submit a comment on the particular topic, 3 minutes, name and address for the record, please.
My name is Eddie Best. I live at 200 Hayes Drive, Interlachen, Florida. And Mr. Brett spoke about everything but support. The word support is so very important that you have an agency. You can go to people that understand and know pretty much the law behind some of these things you walk into, like getting an apartment. Instead of going to DCF or the housing department, you have an agency that backing you to get you housing. In our county here, I tried it a few times with 2 different people. The door is closed. With our public servants as you are, we can break that ceiling and have a person from our clubhouse to go with a person to these meetings with housing, with children, with schools. Another thing that I did in New York, or we've done in New York with clubhouses. Little children don't know, children from junior high school don't know what mental illness is, really. We take it to the schools. I'm not afraid. I know how I did. We teach the children that you walk around and you see people that you think they're okay, they're surviving. No, a lot of them are sick. And I give them my experience because I was hurt on the job. I woke up one day and I was a different person. I was a different person. I didn't know how to think properly until I wound up in a shelter after having a home. They promised me this, they promised me that. The New York City Department of Highways will almost kill me. I work, I do nothing but work. They promised me this, that, and the other thing, when it came down to legal walks through these contracts, no one was there. With clubhouses like this, we have legal people, strong developments like this to walk with us, so we're not pushed to the side. Well, you have a mental illness, we'll put it to the side. This is what we're up against, and I have a few stories to tell you about that, which I'm going through right now. But that's
We
not
don't have a
take.
lot more time though, so.
God bless you guys. Please help the people that can't help themselves. Oh no, we have people sitting on the corner with cups. Those people get hurt out in the street. Who pays? We pay. And it does get better. It does get better, but we have to give it just a little time. The kids here, they need to understand about mental health, so we don't go down this road that we find ourselves.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Next, we have a proclamation for hurricane preparedness week. Is there anybody here?
Yes, ma'am. We do have Danny Chert with Putnam County. I mean, Danny Rich, so sorry.
Did you really go down? Could you read the proclamation, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Roberta M. Correa, Mayor of the City of Palatka, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, do hereby endorse and proclaim the week of May 1 through May 7, 2023 as Hurricane Preparedness Week in the City of Palatka. And we urge everyone in our community to act now and make their families and homes stay alert.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. You go. Would you like to say a couple of words?
Yes, ma'am.
Please go to the podium. Thank you. You take our picture first. It's
Hi, I'm Danny Rich, Putnam County Emergency Management Specialist and PIO. This is one of the things that I'm very enthusiastic about, hurricanes and especially preparedness. We live in Florida. This is a season that takes 6 months out of our year, and the other 6 months we're pretty much either somebody's recovering from it or we're preparing for it. This year, the themes are going to be know your risk, wind and water, as we felt with Ian and Nicole. Water is an issue, especially if you live along the river. There are areas that flood. Be prepared before the season starts. Understanding the forecast information, being able to tell the difference between what the cone is and what the cone represents is very imperative. The storm itself can be very large, it can be a lot smaller, but just because it's not in the cone doesn't mean you're not going to be affected. When a storm threatens, that's when you start moving. Stay protected during the storms. Do not go outside, please. Use caution after the storms. People do have accidents. There are deaths, there are illnesses that occur after storms from cleanup. And to take action today. Go about your days. If you want to start, when you go grocery shopping this week, grab a couple cans of food, grab a can opener, get ready over the time so you don't go and spend all your money all at once. And special needs registration, those do have to be, to do those, you submit an application and it goes through the Department of Health for approval. Those are the people who either need transportation assistance or they have a caretaker and they depend on electricity and they have a special shelter. You need to go ahead and get those applications in as soon as possible so we can get them in the system and process them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now to recognition of Larry Bland Esquire.
Is there a proclamation to be read for it?
Proclamation be read.
Not a proclamation, but we do have a plaque.
Okay.
Would you like me to read the plaque, sir?
No, I mean, you asked me to do it, so. In all honesty, Sonny should get all the credit, you know that. Well, I guess I have the distinct pleasure of leading off, giving you some accolades. I'm sure the commission will want to say a few things too. So, and Ms. Thomas, I know you didn't plan on being here for long. It's been 3 years. You remind us every day that you were just here part-time. We hate to see you go. I think that you know that. And we're hoping you stay a little bit longer until we get through what I'm going to report on in a few minutes. But you've accomplished a lot. We've accomplished a lot. And you're owed a great deal of credit for that.
So thank you, really. We appreciate you. And I'll do my best. I don't know what the cowbell is for, but Sonny says for shepherding the city commission and city staff as city attorney from 2020 through 2023. Well, and I think we need to. Mayor, do y'all want to say something? Take a group picture?
Thank her for, all the valuable services that he provided to the city, all our legal services, and coming out of retirement. And now she's trying to go back into it. Again, we want to thank you for all your legal advice that you've given us over time and your friendship as well. So, welcome to retirement.
I also like to say, welcome to retirement again, but thank you so much for helping lead us in a time where we as the city of Palatka needed true direction, true attorney's direction. I know we had 3 attorneys sitting at one time, but we're eternally grateful for you. I'm grateful for all the questions that you answered of me. I'm grateful that wherever we went as a commission, you were there, not just locally, you were there with us on the state level. Everyone knows you because they know Palatka, and I think we're a better place because of your leadership with your legal counsel. And we hope that once you go into retirement, that you won't return to nobody's job and you actually enjoy it.
If it's safe to say that you are actually retiring, however, if you are, congratulations. You know, they say they're retiring and they really don't. I would love to keep you, but thank you for the time that you spent with me, listening, providing words of wisdom. Thank you for choosing to come and work with us. Thank you and enjoy, if you so choose to.
I'd like to say this, Thomas, thank you for your service and enjoy retirement.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you, Chair. I didn't spend as much time as everybody else with you, but thank you for your patience and your legal leadership, and enjoy your retirement. Come back and see us.
Picture.
Picture time.
Did you want to say something? What's your name? City Commission. Sonny, you need to get it.
Thank you.
We're missing two.
We're getting you.
Commissioner. Yeah. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Anybody in the camera for that?
Initially I said I didn't even want to say it, but that's not true. I want to let you know how much I enjoy working with everybody here. This is a fabulous team that we have in the city of Palatka. And I have learned so much. As you know, I started out as an attorney in Miami-Dade County, where I served for 33 years in various departments. So I appreciate the faith, the support that you have given me over these 3 years. And thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. In the spotlight, Ms. Jones, boy, you've been.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. Just to recap, in quick, last year, 2022, we started, this program to begin to recognize our employees based on different criteria that we give any employee as well as department heads the opportunity to recognize or submit, nomination forms. And this month, for the month of April, the city of Palatka would like to announce as Employee of the Month, Mrs. Jackie Haas.
So you want to take the podium?
Oh, I can take the photo. Jackie's running away. So, this is great. I get to work with Jackie daily. He is definitely deserving. But I figured I'd take this opportunity to kind of give you an idea of everything that she does. And, by no means is this everything. This is just probably the most important or the highlights. Jackie takes initiative with every problem, hurdle that comes to the department when dealing with grants and projects that we fund. She is a true member of the team and actively participates in brainstorming sessions. She likes to tell me that I need subtitles. She is a valued and essential member of our team. She keeps track of and prepares the necessary reports, as well as the financial reimbursements and closing packages for all of our grants. She is consistent in ensuring that all necessary paperwork and payments to contractors, vendors are correct, properly authorized, and paid in a timely manner. She has an exemplary attendance record, although you were off yesterday, right? And she's invaluable to our team. And she also serves as a liaison between the General Services Department, all your other operational departments, and the Finance Department. Every day, Jackie keeps over $60 million worth of projects running smoothly with her contributions. She does not procrastinate or shirk away from responsibility. She is dependable, reliable. If she says it will be done, you can count on it. Jackie, thank you.
We're gonna have to take a photo.
Oh, yeah, need a photo. You gotta eat your guy. You need to
Get any pictures?
Yes.
City manager report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Keeping with the standard procedure for meetings where we have during the month, we'll keep this brief. Just wanted to give you an update on some positive things. Legal services RFP has been advertised. Deadline is May 22nd. I'm happy to report myself, Mr. Holmes, met with Scott Legacy with Palatka Boathouse Marina. And I believe Ms. Thomas has put the finishing touches on the agreement. We're expecting them to sign that shortly. Signed the closing paperwork on Hammock Hall this week for the vacant lot. So that lot is sold. Yeah. We're also trying to schedule the closing on the Tierra Woods stormwater pond. So hopefully within the week, we will have ownership of that and start scheduling the necessary maintenance of that pond. And the deadline for your departmental budgets from department heads is due tomorrow. Sometime next month, most likely after Ms. Carty is on board, you will receive a notification to start preparing your commission priorities for inclusion in the draft budget. And I did want to report that the listing agent for Hammock Hall, Mr. Mark Spalding, has advised us that for the remaining vacant land and building package he would suggest that we reduce the list price to $199 to see if we could generate some more interest in that listing. So if you so choose later tonight and want to take that as an emergency item and give that recommendation, we would then make that adjustment to the listing. And the only other item I believe we have a report on is from Mr. Cutright. If you wanted to give you an update.
No, before, as he comes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the anticipated deadline or finish date for the St. John's Avenue that's out near Solaris?
Mr. McMillan, do you have that date?
It was intended to be within the next 6 months. Unfortunately, they have run into some conflicts with materials and potentially the entire scope of where they intend to end the project. We're trying to, I guess, communicate shutdowns and utilities shutoffs in our area with the customers there. I believe we were attempting to reach out, maybe speak to the MOT in the area. But at this point, I do not believe we know the exact date.
Okay, simply because I've received phone calls where the residents are cutting through the nursing home and it's becoming a problem. So that's why I'm trying to get some answers, but I'll keep you off record.
Thank you.
Mr. Cutright?
I just came up here to give you a small snippet of what happened last Thursday in our bright, the light to bright forum educational meeting. In my eyes and my staff, I think it went very well. We had about 75 people show up, including the wonderful commissioners and a lot of people in the audience. We tried to educate them on everything that we had going on. The steps are still the same, materials are there. We're moving forward. But again, we want the community to realize that we just want compliance with the city. You help us, and we're gonna move forward to bring this gym back to a nice little shiny thing that it used to be. Palatka is a wonderful place. 4 years ago, I would never said that, but since I've been here now, I am very enjoyable and pleased that I've met everybody here and that Palatka is a wonderful place to live.
Great work you guys are doing. And, yeah, I wish I could have been on last, Thursday, but I had no obligation and I could not, afford to not be here, so.
And you did tell me that, and I appreciate the support that you gave me through the phone and the text message.
Thank you. Are there any other additional reports?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Going to open the floor up to public comments. We have a couple of folks that have submitted public comment cards. Stephanie Danzler Curry. Are you here?
Yes.
Okay. Could you please give your name and address?
Stephanie Desla Curry, 223 Ridge Drive, Latin Quarter.
Okay, and 3 minutes, please.
Yes. Recently, I have a son out at West Oak Cemetery, and just recently I had a staff member from the city to tell me that I can place a game/deer camera out. My son been out there since September, October, and November. His plot had been vandalized. Every time I went out there, they were pulling up his the name marker and everything like that. So I spoke to Amanda and I asked her what could I do about it, and she told me that she didn't see anything on the regulations that we couldn't have a game/deer camera. So she had told me that I could put it up. So I put the camera up to try to find out who was vandalized. My son's property, and then recently I get a email saying that I had 7 days to get it down. So I had a meeting, I think it was Wednesday, with the city manager who made the decision to have it taken down. But I wanted to ask the commission, first off, good evening, I'm sorry. I want to ask the commission that the commissioners are the ones that set the policies, not staff. The rules for the cemetery were adopted by the commission, and any changes should be made by the same policymakers. If the city would have put the cameras, the security cameras up years ago when the vandalism, the crime and the homelessness was at the cemetery, we wouldn't have this problem. So now is that my child is out there where his body and his his headstone and things like that are out there. I don't wanna go out there and see that. If you don't have anybody out there, you wouldn't know the pain. You wouldn't. That there camera didn't hurt anybody. Security for me. And my child. So it really upset me because that's security for me. And I was told that it was gonna probably put cameras up, but it never happened. Now I was forced to do it. Now I'm the bad guy. I'm not really the bad guy, but I'm doing what's best for my child. So I want y'all to please take that in consideration.
So Ms. Curry is accurate. City Manager Holmes directed staff to remove the camera. I will tell you that there is no record of the commission authorizing installation of cameras on any cemetery property or on any public property. So in the absence of that, we're operating under the assumption that cameras are not permitted on cemetery property for surveillance.
So can the city install?
Ms. Thomas,
Sorry. Okay, additionally, I was present at the meeting when Ms. Curry spoke to the manager. And this is city-owned property, and if city installs cameras, then there's another level of obligation that we have to post that there are surveillance cameras in operation to advise the public. There's no posting, there are not any cameras, that are included in the rules, but if there's none that says that can be also posted. So what we have is that, we also found out there was an additional camera that has been in the cemetery that was unknown to, the manager's office or to me. And, we've asked that that camera be also.
I have, some concerns. And I think there's a few things to peel back when we're dealing with this. One, as a city, we have an obligation to protect that which is owned by us. We have a duty to make sure that no one who is late to rest is not able to rest due to vandalism of any sort. So we as a city have an obligation, and I'm making the recommendation that we look into bringing surveillance there, just so that we are able to give our families that assurance that their loved ones is resting in peace and not having to deal with vandalism of any sort. This matter, I believe, has come before the commission before, not so much with having camera there, but again, we have a duty to protect our property as well. Also, there's an issue that I have when you have an employee saying that there can be something that's put out there and now it's a sheet being told that they can't. So I think that's a management problem that we need to address, because again, if it's not written in policy, no one should be given direction with regards to anything that goes against or with our policy if it is not written. Again, she went off the assumption from somebody from the city level, a city employee, and she acted on what she was told. So there needs to be, that needs to be addressed as well.
Commissioner Barnes.
I wholeheartedly agree with Commissioner Campbell on that, and again, we need to make sure that, dignity and respect are given to those who passed on. In no way we should have vandalism going on, in no respect, especially for those who have passed on. again, with the same thing with the staff member, making any comments in regards to what to do or what not to do. If it's not policy driven, then they should not speak on anything along those lines. So that's my point. I wholeheartedly support it. We need cameras, out there, like the Commissioner of Cameras said. Thank you.
Commissioner Haskell.
I agree with Commissioner Campbell and Commissioner Moore. I think the camera gave her a sense of security, and she feels as if the rug was snatched from up under her. However, I think that this matter needs to be brought before us. We discuss it as an agenda item and decide whether or not we're going to bring the put surveillance out there. Again, the employee making the decision without going through the proper channel, the issue that I have. Because I feel that we would have gone through the proper channel, we wouldn't be here now. And I have a loved one out there, and I feel you. I live on the street and I know exactly how it feels. So I'm very sorry that we're here. We're gonna do what we need to do to make sure that we correct this mistake. Thank you.
So have the camera been removed or is it still there this time?
It's been removed, sir.
So it's been removed, barring us having any policy on it. So this commission moved to have the camera replaced back out there until we actually create the policy, because it says more than one out there already, right?
Okay, Thomas.
Or put a sign out stating that it is surveillance, under surveillance.
But this is not a camera that has been authorized by the city or placed there by the city. So putting a sign saying that it's on video surveillance implies that this is under the control of the city of Palatka. It is not. It is not the property control. We have no policy, rules, regulations, anything governing the placement or the collection of data on this camera.
Again, did the camera, or do the camera being out there right now violate any rights at all? Is there any rights of privacy at that cemetery or any part of the city owned?
The Supreme Court has dealt with,
I can't hear that.
I'm sorry, the Supreme Court has dealt with the rights of privacy in a public space, and that's by governmental action. This is not governmental action. Ms. Curry placing a camera on a public space for the collection of videos. So by us saying that she can, do this, if we're going to, if the commission would like to approach this, then it should be something that is done at the behest and the order, directions, policies, and procedures of the city of Palatka, not citizens installing cameras on public property without any guidelines, rules, regulations, concerns, or anything about what goes on and what is captured.
Okay, so I'm gonna let it go. So Ms. Curry obviously about the vandalism to the police department.
No, she didn't.
It's never been reported
Only to the city. No.
in the police.
No,
Cemetery.
the cemetery
Public
folks,
works.
yeah. Yeah,
And
but I did have, I'm sorry.
go ahead. Ms.
I-
Curry, I'm sorry.
Let me stop. Okay, but I did one night have to call the police out there because, there was someone at my son's site with no clothes on, her shirt off and everything. And once I went out there, he was laying down before my son got his slap. And in fact, he was just laying out there with no shirt on. It should be on, record because I called him from there. And I asked the guy when I went out there, I said, well, because I was like, oh, is this person that's been tearing up, stuff. And I was like, no, this can't be him. Then when I see him come back with no shirt on, because I can't see where he goes anywhere around in there, just up in here where my son is. And when I went out there, I said, well, I said, what's going on? I said, why are you laying down there? So he went to saying, I need to go to the hospital. And I said, you need to go to the hospital? And he was like, yeah. He said, the voices are telling me I need to come out here. I said, well, why are you laying down there? I said, that's my son, right? That's my son right there that you're laying beside. You don't know him. So I ended up calling because he said he needed help. He said he needed medical help, so I called the police and had them to come out. So that should be on, right.
I don't want to move just yet.
I mean, we have to, but this is something that we need to take.
We need to address that, yes.
Yeah, but so. Mr. McMillan, come to the podium, 1 second. Because I just have, it's a department issue. I just want to know this is going to be up in the building. Every citizen that have a loved one.
No, I'm sorry, Commissioner. I just wanted to add one thing that we did tell Ms. Curry that if she had any further issues of vandalism, we gave her our number of the manager and that we would call the police and we would ensure that police action is taken immediately to address the situation and to solve it.
So that's what I would like to know, is a department, upon these vandalism claims, what action do your department take to ensure that the citizens' loved ones are not, their graves are not tampered with?
Well, I was unaware of the vandalism plan until the discussion of the camera came up. Realistically, we acknowledge that we do need to increase securing of the property and intend to budget for security in the cemeteries in this fiscal year upcoming. Realistically, there really isn't a lot we can do at this point from an enforcement standpoint. Our staff are not set up to enforce or patrol or really regulate any activities within the cemetery.
Do we lock it at dusk, from dusk to dawn? Is that something that we can do?
Currently, we do not. We have in the past. There needs to be repairs made to the gates, and actually some gates added to the cemeteries. That is a funding issue at this point.
So let's get it in the budget and make that happen, I think. So that people will feel more secure and we don't want folks going through this pain, agony.
Absolutely, no. And again, upon hearing of the incident in the camera, you know, being that we are in budget season, it was fortuitous, so we could make those adjustments to realistically assess and create a plan going forward to secure the cemetery.
Commissioner.
I have a request, and this is to keep, because of course, we know that we aren't officially able to take any action during the public comment. I make the request that this be an agenda item at our next commission meeting, so that we're able to speak more and actually give more direction to this matter with regards to surveillance, with regards to requests that comes from staff for the needs of the cemetery to ensure the safety and security of those that rest there. And I will make that recommendation.
So,
Thank you. Commissioner Boyle.
And as part of that, prior to the next meeting, if like you said, you can go ahead and get estimates on what you think it will cost for security cameras to be placed out there. That'll help us greatly going forward to our next meeting. And again, I think we can modify the policy. Also, if it's reported to Public Works area who's also over the cemetery, then that the cemetery can have a responsibility to make sure that things are passed on to our police department to make sure that that's covered in the event that the individual who reported the issue have not reported it to the police department. So we want to put in language in there along those lines. Thank you.
Be ready to speak on all of your gallery. It's really good to do this show.
Thank you. Any further comments? We have another person that wants to have a comment regarding this topic, Stacy King. Please give your name and address for the record and also 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, we have a problem with the cemetery. Amanda told me that I could place lights on the fly, but I did that. And I did that and they were removed. So I actually called her. No, I went down there and I asked her, said, you told me that I could place the solar lights. She said, because I don't have this, well, his slab and his headstone hadn't come in yet. And she said, yes, as long as I placed it on the dirt. I placed the lights on the dirt and they were still moving. So I put more out there and she assured me that they would be moved. So what is the policy on that? I said the employee telling me that I could place lights on there.
They're not permitted for your current city ordinance on cemetery.
And we understand, and as you heard, we're going to address this issue holistically for next meeting, which we really need to do clear. Because this can't continue. Our apologies.
What would keep them a common thing where, you know, I don't know how many staff, but I just keep hearing the same thing where people are being told that they can do something. It's impacting people's emotions, feelings as it relates to their loved ones, and we have to do something around. We need to verify the policy before we go and give any direction to anybody, because too many times we have people, staff level, making decisions that's above their pay grade and not part of what their job is. And so we need to make sure if you're telling somebody something, make sure you're referencing the policy, because we're having too many times that things happen.
Thank you. Mr. Vickers? Your address, and look, we have you. That's an honor of you.
It's not, it's an honor of you. Because you deserve that. You earned it right there. Askew Vickers, 207 North 18th Street. I'm here to talk about the poison of the paths of the mirror of the future of Palatka. We are there's 67 counties in this county, 67 counties in the state. We're the 22nd largest county in the state of Florida, but yet we're the poorest. How did we get there? Because we got here by somebody called the tail wagging the dog and dark money. Special interest group influencing your to make your decision. You're not aware of what's going on. What's going on right before you got know it. There's a way to do things that's not being done, has not been done. You cannot dig yourself out of a hole laying on the ground. The thing is that if we stop looking outside of our front porch and turn around and look and see what's going on inside, we find out there's a lot more that we need to do for our own self than watching other people do what they need to do. You can't say that we need to clean our property when you don't clean your own. You can't find us when you never clean your own property. You can't, it's not right. The thing is that how we do things makes a difference. People talk about painting. There's a painting on St. John Avenue called Blood Rain, and people was complaining about the color of it that's being painted. People complain about everything. People complain about walking across the street. If you don't walk in the right place, it's wrong. But people are doing this for him. But the thing is that how do we get from the past to the present to the future in a better place to have this place there? If we should not have a green code, only 8 smallest big places in Florida, but yet they have surpassed us. Okay, I got more time. There's so much here that we can do for ourselves, but we have to do it. And listen, that's not, you're talking about you not go do a good job, but you can't permit you don't know it. It's a hornet's nest. I would put you, public things you do it, if we do it and get the,
Can you actually, we can't hear you. You gotta talk to us.
Okay. But the cut right, I'll get to you later. But there's a way to do things that we need to set and listen and looking at ourselves before we start judging others. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
1 seconds.
Mr. Gaines?
How y'all doing this evening?
Name and address for the record, please. You have 3 minutes.
1917 Washington Street. I met the mayor the other night. And I was asking them about the roads on the north side. They were looking at some repairs that had been done. And the next morning, my neighbor had an accident right over at 20th and Washington. And I'm still confounded about it because you fixed the road at 18th Street and then 19th Street and 20th Street. In front of my house, there's a sinkhole that they've repaired 3 times. And it's done something, it done sunk another 2 inches. And I asked the gentleman right here about it the other day. He was out there, he just got down in the ditch in the hole and said there's a whole bunch of repairs need to be done. But if you get down in the hole and you repair it from the inside, what's going on the outside still? It still need to be repaired. So my question is, when is it gonna get done?
Yeah, and I'll just like to give the commission a little bit of a background on the actual issue at hand. This is generally referred to as the north side. It is within the Raise project area where we have $8.1 million. It's slated for improvements. The issue specifically at hand here is inflow and infiltration. You have stormwater pipes that have voids in the joints and in other areas. And when the water seeps in, it pulls the dirt in, and that creates the sinkhole that Mr. Gaines is speaking of. In the past, Mr. McMillan and my assessment that staff probably just patched the road and did not address the root cause of the issue. I do want you to know that this is prevalent citywide. And stormwater is something that you currently only fund to the tune of $50,000 a year. If you don't take into account staffing, it's $50,000 for capital replacement. As a comparison, because you haven't done an asset management plan on this asset, water and sewer, the recommendation is to fund in excess of $3 million annually. So you can kind of understand how far off the mark we are collectively in adequately funding capital replacement when it comes to stormwater and roads. So Mr. McMillan and his staff are working on those 2 areas that were identified specifically, but there are many others. And he does have pictures if you would like to look at those and get a better idea of exactly what is going to be the problem. We'll do that.
I think it hurt for us to see the pictures so we'll know. I don't think it hurt for us to see the pictures and so that we can have a visual of what you're speaking on.
Absolutely, I'll forward the email during this meeting.
And what you also have numbers as well. You haven't done the total assessment yet, right? So
No.
okay. So, and as you say, we have this issue across the city. So I guess as we come across these things, we didn't even know what the assessment, assess the issue, protocols, and let us know. Again, if we only put 50,000 to it per year, then that kind of speaks a lot to why some of these things are the way they are due to the lack of funding. Not that the city has the money to fix all this stuff, because we don't have the money to fix all this stuff. So we have to prioritize it.
Yes, sir.
And we're saying that 50,000 is
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
locked now, and spot inadequate too.
Yes.
And then that's including staff, you just said, this is just for the 50,000, not including the staff or whatever.
Correct. I'll tell you that number just to illustrate how far off we are.
Yes.
Accounting calls it fully funding depreciation of the asset. We call it capital outlay.
Right.
Like I said, your water and sewer fund, which is another large utility, the mark is 3 million. So there's a big difference there.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, but the 8 million in funding that's available, not the entire 8 million, I understand that. However, I went out there after this accident, before it happened, because I knew the attention that these roads need. And what I see, my major concern, Commission, is those roads are collapsing and there's a liability issue. And I know that we don't have money to do all of them, but I think an assessment needs to be done immediately on more that I want to bring, because the day before, that holding was sank. The next day, it caused a problem. It could have been worse. So what I'm saying at this point is let's reassess and go on priority list and kind of like maybe elevate priority before it was going to.
Yeah, well, that's why I came here.
Minimum, I don't want to minimize.
The gentleman right here, go down in the hole and look and say, he see light up under the road. So if that means that he can see light through the pipe up on the road, they went down there today and patched the inside of the pipe to try and stop it. So the hole's still up on top.
We know your part. If you can, let me just emphasize the need of us trying to put funding over there, what I'm saying, to make it happen, to do these repairs. So it's imperative that we make some more allocations than we have. 50,000 not gonna do it. $250,000 not gonna do it, what we had earmarked for it. So I asked this commission to look and reevaluate how much we put on the roads, not just the resurfacing, those that need the restructuring.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
We have more time. Were you done, Mr. Gaines?
Oh, I'm done.
Did someone get injured in the game?
Yes. Mr. Leroy Jackson. He got his wrist, he got 3 fractures in his wrist, so that had nothing to do with that.
And just to further inform the commission, we are still actively working on it. There's both internally and externally trying to work with the weather, starting to make compaction when you've got a significant level. As we're able to, we'll continue to update you with those of the areas.
Somebody, they got right on, if you come one day, you can ask for a pothole to be repaired. It may not be done that exact day. And so, yeah, there are opportunities for people to maybe hit these potholes and potentially damage the vehicle or otherwise themselves. So again, I know the city is working very, very hard to address a lot of these things as it relates to infrastructure issues across the city. So yeah, we will have some of those things come up. And so we're going to continue to do our very, very best. And I want to thank staff for going out, investigating the issues for that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
No, I have something to add to this at the request of one of the commissioners. It was asked that maybe we share related to this, where you stand with reserves in better place and also with ARPA allocations. So I've distributed current ARPA allocation and encumbrance report. Those first 11 items total up to 1.5 million. We have not encumbered or expended anything in those categories. So if you were to ask staff for a recommendation on where to look to reallocate for projects such as this that we're speaking of, those would be the categories we would point you towards. And in reference to Better Place, currently there stands $456,712.75. But there is an expected change order related to St. John's Avenue resurfacing that's slated to come before you on May 11th, which if you approve it would take that down to $280,712. And about halfway through the year, we wouldn't recommend making any more allocations out of reserves in Better Place. And we're estimating somewhere between 900,000 to 1.1 million in revenue at Better Place next year. And so you'd have that available to you on October 1. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Ms. Gibbons? Name and address, please, for the record, in 3 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, and all our city commissioners. This is everyone here. I just want to say thank you for your service and your time. I was requested to keep you all updated on what we're doing with Central Academy. On Tuesday, April 18th, local citizens of the community that are interested in the preservation and restoration of Central Academy, we met. Our goal right now, we're working towards partnering with local organizations and churches. Our goal is to help with a community cleanup by partnering with Keep Something Beautiful. And this will be organizing a community cleanup on the north side. We're also working on a petition to remove and request that Central Academy be taken off the blacklist. As part of the revitalization of the north side, our goal is to help, I know that we're on the blacklist, but if you look at that list, there are like 22 properties that are listed, and most of them are located on the north side of Palatka. Now, unfortunately, we have come through COVID somewhat, but when I think about it, it's almost like keeping people when they're already down. So one of my concerns, is, of course, as I asked before, on March 23rd, I'm requesting that the city would partner with us as far as working towards the preservation and restoration of Central Academy. Out of all those properties that are listed on the blacklist, Central Academy is the one that is listed as a National Register Historic Place. And there are places here in our county that have actually been restored, like the Bronson New Holland House, and some other places right here. So my goal is to ask again that Central Academy be taken off the blacklist and that consideration be given to the fact that we, the citizens that are concerned about the future of Central Academy, are currently working towards efforts. In addition to that, I've been doing plenty of research. The Sisters of St. Joseph, located in St. Augustine, they are currently renovating a building that was built back in the 1800s, located in the Black historic area called Lincolnville, St. Augustine. They are due to have their building, which was an old, I believe, an old Black school at the time, but now the goal is to become a neighborhood center. Well, they're due to be complete with their restoration in 2024. So it can be done. I even took a trip over there myself to see what they are doing, and they actually have steel beams that hold up the side of the walls. And I just have one question. Looking back at the video on March 9th from the City Commission's meeting, my question is, with Central Academy being listed improperly as far as the address, and it was never actually stated what the building was, and looking at the photograph, most people, I don't think, would recognize that it was Central Academy. So my question to the city commissioners and to our Madam Mayor, were you all aware when you approved the Black program, were you aware that Central Academy was actually listed on that blacklist on March 9, 2023, at your city commission meeting when you approved it? Because I got the impression that most of you didn't even know that it was Central Academy. The picture that I saw was a back picture of the back of the building, which most people, if you look at Central Academy, if you see the front of the building, then you will recognize it once you see the picture. Well, when I look back at the meeting, I noticed the address was incorrect. So the address was listed incorrectly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's my question. Can you all answer that? Were you or were you not aware that Central Academy was listed on the blacklist on your city commission meeting on March 9, 2023, when it was presented to you.
Well, we have to, stop you for a minute. Commissioner Campbell?
Here's been upset.
Yeah.
Never let it down.
Oh, you're not open.
But you're already.
No, you had.
Yes, I actually have a niece that lives directly across the street from the facility, so I see it quite frequently, the front, the back, and the side. And the second thing that I want to address, with regards to it being listed, it's my understanding that all that are listed, if a citizen or whoever owns that property come forth, to actually have the matter addressed, it is given consideration. And it's not listed to my understanding, it's not listed to make you all get rid of it. It's listed so that we can get action. And I believe it's done exactly what it is that it's supposed to do. That's why it's listed on there, to generate a conversation, to generate what we need in order to help citizens, help the group move to where they want to restore it back to its glory. So again, speaking for myself, it's not that we don't want to see it, we want it on the list. Again, we want to make sure that what we do for one, if we do it for one, we're going to have to do it for all. I want to see it restored back to its glory. That was my father. My father graduated from there. Like I said, I have a niece and my nephews play across the street from it every day. I would love to see it restored, but just because it's listed is not an indictment to where we're trying to make something a negative thing. Again, this program is implemented to give consideration to those. So I'm quite sure the city will do absolutely everything that we can to assist in making sure that if we have the resources are provided.
Did you have a Commissioner?
I was going to answer a question. The question was, did we know at that meeting? At that meeting, I only knew because of the picture of me. The ranking from 1 to 10, I wasn't aware, wasn't included in that ranking. So me, this commission wasn't, so I didn't know. And secondly, I did recognize that address didn't exist. So I was a little confused. I think I asked about it and it was supposed to be corrected. So that's answer your question. I have a question. You say we and us. If you could identify your agency or organization, because I don't know about anybody else speaking for me. I just thought that the custody of that building is under PHA. So
When I say we, I'm talking about just citizens like alumni and people that live here in Palatka that are actually actively meeting and working towards establishing partnerships with other organizations to come together and work towards, like I said, the cleanup that we're organizing, the petition we're organizing. Now, we're also looking to partner with the Historic Center Academy Preservation and Community Development Corporation, which they're actually scheduled to meet next week. They're calling a meeting, and then within 30 days, they will also be selecting officers. So once that is open to the public, then we will jump on board with that nonprofit organization. But as of right now, it's just concerned citizen meeting here.
and the cleanup, would the cleanup include the Central Academy?
Yes, the cleanup will include anyone who's interested. We will reach out to churches, also organizations like Keep Public Vehicle. I've already reached out to them, they're interested. So anyone who's willing to lend a helping hand in the Northside cleanup. So it's open to anyone who's actually interested. And like I said, we're establishing partnership with other organizations. It's not just this community group of people that's meeting. We're actually working with other organizations.
So it is open to the public.
What is?
The group.
The nonprofit, it will be after they have their board meeting.
Okay.
And then they will establish a meeting that's open to the public.
Yes, okay, to answer the question, did I know, if Central Academy was on this? No, I did not know at that time, but it being there, I know I had put in the request to have it cleaned up or through, code enforcement, and I don't know if any other commission have done that, but in that along with a number of other properties, I think it's prudent that we make sure that we have a gym like that in our community that have such significance, it should not be in that state if we really care and love what that building stood for. It means a lot in this international. So again, I'm here to help in every way I possibly can to help bring that back to the sport the best we can. So with that being said, I mean, I think we need to keep it on the list until we can make the necessary gain, no different than any other property that has been reported. And I think that's why we're having a conversation, because I don't think if the city had not moved to implement this bright program, then would we be having this conversation? I'm not sure. So I think this generates just conversation, not to knock the building down, not to do anything, but what can we do to respect the neighbors, the people who live in that community that has to look at a building that should reflect His glory. And so, and the other piece, if anything you can do to help, but if you can just provide us maybe with a report with a task list and what you have, what you plan on doing, and a timeline, and let's work together to help get this lifted back up to where it will be.
Commissioner Pascal?
And yes, I was very aware. My nephew always lives directly across the street there, so I frequent that area every Sunday. And I actually do a lot of foot traffic in that area. It's just there this past Sunday, walking through those apartments, over there in that area, as well as looking at that building. So I was very aware that was.
And I was certainly aware, I'm aware of all the properties that are listed on the National Register in the city, and there is another property on this list that's also on the National Register, just for edification. And have you worked with the Housing Authority? Because I see Dr. Woods here, and again, it's their property. So
I've been in communication with the Housing Authority, so yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, and it's not to put Dr. Lewis or the Housing Authority staff on Front Street, but I haven't heard any kind of statement with regards to, from the Housing Authority, with regards to plans for the support of communities coming together, which we can't stop. I'm all for it, but I haven't heard any official statement from Palatka Housing Authority with their position for the particular county.
Allow me. Good evening, everyone. What I will share with you is what I shared probably most recently 10 minutes before my arrival here today. And that was from a general inquiry I received from like or similar interested party. He is not local, but he has roots here. He played an instrumental part in acquiring a marker that we will be installing at Central Academy. But my response to him was specifically and pointedly, if you would allow, I will read to you what I shared. I acknowledge receipt of his correspondence, which was an inquiry, much like you just asked, right? I said the current state of Central Academy is dilapidated. Unfortunately, without the needed and required resources to address capital and or future operational expenses, the cited dilapidation is highly probable to persist. As you may or may not know, even to raise the structure as any and all other relative courses of action are cost prohibitive without a sound budget to fund initiatives. A memorial of sorts, I shared with him, would be a great alternative to reducing the overall associated expenses as a whole. Rest assured that an amicable and expeditious resolution is in the best interest of all parties concerned. And to that end, I mean all parties.
from the housing authority and even one of my team members who's here, a former student of that facility. And trust me, we embrace what it means. And I personally, you know, my elders were successful in fighting for our school because my elder siblings' school ended up being my school. But it was on a list to be torn down and, you know, done away with. But I was fortunate and blessed to have that school even stand today as an elementary school. It was a junior high school when I came up. But I can't hold back the hands of time. I can't reassess all of the resources that were available then to now. And even if I did, I assure you that the dollar's value today is very different than yesteryear. So the reality of it is, I believe, I know for a fact that my board of commissioners is engraved and committed to doing all that they can, but the reality of reality sets in. And so we get to a point where we say, okay, so we are a housing authority, right? Our initiative, our mission is to provide affordable, decent, safe housing that is in good repair. We took on the initiative of trying to gain resources to bring a school forward. Then you have to imagine, let's just say in a perfect world, we were blessed to have somebody say, okay, I'll come in and fund the reconstruction and rejuvenation, full modernization of this property. Okay. After that is done, what are we going to do for operational expenses? What are we going to do to keep the lights on? What are we going to do to keep the lawn mowed? What are we going to do to replace all of those equipments and windows and things of that nature that are sure to be in need of addressing? So we have to look at the full picture. And I believe the reality that my board is at and where we are is that a marker, you know, would be ideal. But even having raised the property is cost prohibitive because there's no budget. So you can't get blood out of a turnip, and you certainly can't utilize any cross-referencing of dollars that are not intended for a non-program. And I hope that answers your question.
Very much, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you. Finish our public comments. We have one more general public comment, and I'm probably going to pronounce the name, and I'm so sorry. Because I'm having trouble reading your handwriting.
Gentleman with the.
Mr. Baker.
Oh, there you go. Come on, please give your name and address for the record. I don't want to
My
mispronounce.
name is Ari L. Mayor, 3421 St. John Avenue. I give honor to the mayor and the commission. My concern was the new park that they built behind Brooker Park. I was born and raised right here in Palatka. It was done before I was born, back in the 50s. They euthanized dogs and until my body back there. Probably back in the early 1900s or 1800s when that dump built. And now they want to build a park to put kids. They just excavate the ground in and take up all that old dirt because the river was coming. My concern is that after years go on, the contamination of that soil, ain't nothing the EPA could do to stop it from coming through. Kids take that home to their parents, their grandparents, all these diseases and sicknesses that we have. I don't think it was a good idea. And I think it should be looked into, either the EPA or they did this special thing. They did the same thing in Detroit when they want to move the auto plants out of Detroit. When all you got together, they had to dig up all that contaminated dirt and move it out. They left the plants alone. But for health person, you're thinking about putting kids out there playing baseball. I think you should be looking into a little deeper. And a whole lot just abandoned it because it's wasted money you could have put it somewhere else. That's my opinion. Now, I know a lot of people grew up in Palatka with it. At the same time, that dump was sitting back there. And I know a whole lot of dead animals is buried up under that ground. Because they went to dog pound. And I was hoping that the commission could look into that and see the EPA supposed to put some kind of special thing and cover the ground. I don't trust the EPA. I wouldn't allow my grandkids to go out there and play no ball. They can play on the old park. They can't play on that dump. But when I was a kid, we used to be all over. I lived right I lived on 8th Street, 8th and Bunce, right around the corner. And I don't think it's safe for the public, for the kids, for the family. And I'm hoping that somebody in the commission, or the whole commission, put a real good study on that. Before we start putting kids out there, taking diseases home to their grandparents, their parents, and the whole house be contaminated. That's my concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for that information. Again, I've been here for 31 years. I know I don't think the dump was out there during that time. Was question is, was there a dump there that will, So where we had a dump, but we had animals that were also.
Pet cemetery.
So when did we have these people come in and look at and make sure that everything was proper in this area, to make sure that the soil, the soil doesn't have any, and it's cured, like a brown field, to make sure that it is cured or whatever. So if it's a brownfield area, it probably needs to be maybe looked at.
Commissioner, I can respond to that.
Okay.
So as part of the Water Management District grant to locate the regional stormwater pond in that area, when they were preparing that land, they actually removed some of the old dumpsters and metal debris that was dumped there. A lot of the bricks and concrete that was dumped there over the years was leveled and capped. It was all capped with sufficient fill per DEP standards and recommendations. And we also did groundwater and soil sampling to confirm that we did not have contaminants exceeding the EPA standards.
Well, I would like to just see some of the reports where you say exceeding, but there were sound like there may have been contaminants there, and I would just like to know if you say exceeding, or was it close? I mean, if there's something there, I think we might have an issue where I don't want to expose people
I'm sure.
to any contaminants, and I'm not an environmental person like that, at least see the report.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. With that being said, is there anybody else with public comments? Close public comments. On to the consent agenda. Does anybody want something removed in the consent agenda?
Well, let's go, this item E for this question, item I for this question,
Item E, did you say?
item E and item I for the question.
Anyone else wanting to point to the consent agenda?
Yeah, that's like an explanation or the need a discussion on O, item O, and I don't have my glasses, P.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda excluding items E, I, O, and P.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay. Item E. Ms. Grant?
Certainly, thank you. Resolution number 2023 R93. A resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, declaring certain property to be surplus and directing the city manager to dispose of said surplus property in accordance with city administrative procedures and providing for scrivener's errors.
No, that's.
Yeah,
That's money.
E is the H.
that's, it's not a copier, right? With
So it's-
storage.
It's a smaller desktop printer, that was previously used for our check runs. It's obsolete. We were advised, by the company that we buy replacement parts and a replacement copier from, that it didn't even have, parted out value. So we're just looking at getting it out of the way. It's sitting up in front of my office in the hallway right now.
Yeah, well, I'm good. I didn't see the model on there, so, my only concern was that with any copiers, you know, that we, dispose of, we want to make sure that we keep those hard drives out of it. So that's fine, in my opinion, that's fine. But any copiers that we have, that anybody does any copying with, we store those images on that hard drive. And that could be, social security number, personal health information, among other things. So that's not one of my concerns. I'm good with that. I just want to make sure that it wasn't a copy.
Thank you.
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Item I.
Item I,
Okay,
2023 R98. A resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, granting a special events permit to Branteria Cooper for the 54th birthday party, setting forth provisions for the permit, granting permission for amplified sound, granting permission and providing for screen shares.
Okay,
So, we have, she read, we have,
Yeah.
we have, before you saw.
I think we kind of like moved to hear it first. before we-
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
okay, Ms. Cooper came in and applied for a special grant application for, a birthday party. She's asking for some more, first, this is not a first time event, it's just she's coming in trying to do it the right way this time. She asked for several road closures to be done, visited to the police department, and Captain Williams was okay with the things she asked for. The streets that we blocked will be 20th Street from Washington to Eagle Street. And then also the parking will be done on her property, 800 North, 20th Street. And the amplified sound will just be music and stuff that she said might be.
Yeah, question with amplified sound and the neighbors, you know, we.
Yeah, she has reached out to all the neighbors that close to positively on her resident, and everybody seems to be okay with it.
Right, and did we post any signers or anything, because if we have an event, did the city put a notice out that there will be, an event that, because you're closing Eagle, you're closing Washington and 20th, and you're also closing, North 20th right there.
Yes.
And
Okay,
on Eagle and Washington, we closing all of that on 20th Street, on both sides.
Now, to my knowledge, I don't know if we put any signs out yet, but I will make sure that we put signs out and let everybody know that neighbors. But we have reached out to the surrounding neighbors, and she has reached out to the neighbors to let them know the party will be going on.
They're all good.
Yeah, so boy,
And we're
nobody.
putting the cart before the horse, because we haven't even notified people. That's my only
No,
concern.
she have reached out to most of the neighbors, and we have talked to people, we have put no signs out, but we have talked to some of the people in the neighborhood. But we didn't put any signs out, I will say that.
Is it required or not?
Yes, it's required. They have,
How, but how far in advance is it?
The ordinance, I'm not sure on that, but I'm thinking at least a week or two notice before, let everybody know that the party's gonna be going.
it's a public notice, it's like a public notice that you're notifying the people that in something is going to occur, and give them an opportunity to come here and voice their opinion as opposed to hearing it from staff. That's my only concern, because I did speak to somebody today, they're like, right, you know, they said that they wasn't aware of the event, and I do know we have a lot of, issues from a number of areas that play amplified music, among other things, and with traffic control, loud noise, among other things, I know it concerns some of the people in those areas, so that's my only concern. And you said it was supposed to be from 6 to 8, for the amplified noise, but then the permit goes from, 4 to 10.
Set up and clean up.
Well, yeah, it's got different, it goes 3 to 10, I see 1, 4 to 10, and then I see 6 to 8. So, but I just want to make sure that the residents are not, their quality of life is not impacted to satisfy a personal party or whatever it may be. And the residents is good with it around the perimeter, I'm good, but I'm not comfortable with saying yes to this until I know that the residents is good with the amplified noise and the number of vehicles and all other things. Because I know things can get out of control. We just want to make sure that things are proper.
There isn't enough time for them to come record us here, this is being said.
It's not enough.
Right, and you did say that, and I've gone by, they have music playing all the time, it's, several, it seemed to be okay, you said you only heard from one person.
Well, I'm person, not that if the people doesn't know that, I guarantee you they don't look at our agenda. I'm just saying from my perspective, I want to make sure that there's quality of life for people who are having to hear and listen to that. And I do know there are elderly residents who live in that area, and I'm giving them my concerns. And that's my position.
And you said that she had already gone the policy calls, you said there is a policy there, the signs have to be posted.
I think it's about 2 weeks out, so we can make sure that it's notified, and in the future, I would definitely make sure that any event of this nature will be noticed and also reach out to the communities. I'm not, definitely, I do apologize for that. That's one that didn't think about. I'm not gonna lie to you in the special event team meeting, didn't address some type of notifying the community around the conversations that we had with you and also the conversations he says we had with them.
Say, if we can, just to give peace, try to get those signs out as soon as possible.
Tomorrow.
But I must commend the citizen for coming in, trying to do this.
I would definitely get some of signs out and some notification out tomorrow.
Because it's still good at least a week, you know what I mean?
But this is something that we're voting on. So is it a conditional? Is it conditional vote? Because we're voting on it tonight to say yes or no to something that we are looking to make sure that things are going to be in compliance. How will we know?
It can be conditional.
Well, it wasn't the applicant's fault. It's not that it's son.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's not enough for us to say no because they, like Commissioner Campbell said, they did it.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And I will definitely fall on that sword and make sure I get the signs out to everybody and notify them.
I know. And I appreciate that we're taking these on, but we want to make sure that the quality of life does not go down for those people who live in that area that don't have a voice.
So I put in a motion that we'll approve this again. Upon condition.
Can I seek clarification? Being that there's already a resolution, do we have to deny that resolution and then come up with the additional change, or can we do that friendly too?
May I speak, Madam Mayor?
I was waiting for Ms. Thomas to respond.
Yes, you can deny this one, or you can amend it, however you like to whatever section that you want to amend and add that amendment and then move that resolution forward.
So amendment to add that the signs are put out. Put back up there, Sonny, let me see what it says. Just a minute to add that the signs are put out on tomorrow, May 20th. Okay.
Give a motion.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. O,
For the sake of the meeting forward, I take O and P as written.
are you gonna read?
Without any information or discussion. Without further discussion.
So he don't need to speak.
So you're gonna start with the second.
I make a motion that we accept O and P as they are presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I would like to acknowledge Ms. Danielle Brown, who's in the audience. We just passed. She had Pretty Employees, which is a girls' institute that is dedicated to girls from 10 to 13. I just would like to acknowledge her in the event. This is their inaugural class, I do believe, of young ladies from our community that they've taken out the time to help develop and speak life into these young ladies. So I would definitely want to recognize her for being here tonight.
Thank you. On to regular business. Discussion directions surplus real property broker price opinion.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. See here, there's a list of 5 properties that staff is bringing back before you. These properties were previously on the surplus property list, and last time you put a batch of properties out, you held these back for future consideration. These are the high and low broker's price opinion on each of these properties. If you so like, we also have the BPOs for these with aerial graphics, if you're not familiar with those intersection descriptions. The recommendation is get authorization to list these on MLS and see if we have any takers.
Is anybody? in the commission have anything?
Question. Being at the for PHA, and that is he's here, but will we give any special consideration for to that agency at all? We talk about moving forward with affordable and workforce housing. Maybe we could form a partnership, some kind of collaboration with them coming in as an investor and building on property. Just asking what commission think about it.
That's something we can legally do with special consideration.
So you could partner with the PHA as an entity to put in affordable or attainable housing. Staff is just following previous direction, taking properties off the surplus list and bringing them forward for listing on MLS. Alternatively, the PHA could submit a proposal to staff, which could be accepted contingent on commission approval.
Win-win.
Yes.
Win-win. Dr. Woods, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna-
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, our liaison already have a like a single company, at least of sorts, maybe not in such a colorful fashion. But, you know, he caught me at a time when I was at a different meeting, right? And we can. Essentially, you know, I'm always, each time that I approach our liaison in the housing authority, and oftentimes Client Evans Kelp, the assistant city manager, he finds himself holding both of his pockets and turning his back to the wall, because he's thinking, I'm coming to the city for more. And I am. And at the end of the day, whatever we can get, but we are authorized to go up to the highest assessed value, okay? That is, of course, the last ultimate, contingent upon the nature of any agreement that we can craft. But that's just drawings and our renderings there to share with you some of the possibilities that we can do. And what I did was some of the information that Jonathan was nice and kind enough to share with me with regard to available properties that was out on the surplus way back when. I had our architect go in and just give me a few renderings as to what we could possibly do in that area of space. And so what you have before you there are just that, just ideas and, different types of bills for different areas and so on and so forth. But yes, I know we've been speaking in tandem and at length throughout the years, here and there intermittently, several visits throughout the years, from Commissioner Borum. And as you well know, we work closely with Commissioner Jones as liaison. But it is a growing need, whether we are awakened to it or not, whether we realize it or not, whether we're cognizant of it or not. Homelessness is growing. There are people finding themselves on our waiting list who never thought they'd be there. I'm talking about professional people, okay? So we have a waiting list in excess of, combined waiting list in excess of 900 applicants. And we have two major programs, and that is, of course, our affordable housing, which is property that we own and manage, and then our assisted housing, which is by way of third party, the voucher program. So any and all property that you have, quite honestly, quite frankly, we want, we need, and we can utilize in the ways and means to leverage right now, because the market is waning. Some 5 years ago, nearly 5 years ago, when I stood before you, I was a much more optimistic man because I knew that our nation's fiscal environment was different. But now that has waned greatly, and I think we all can attest to that. So we have to change the ways and means in which we go about doing business. And one thing I want to assure you all, and that is all of your constituents will still be protected. There's, and I'm not going to say that there is not an unease and sensible thought of gentrification that has happened all around us. It's real, it's happened, we've all seen it. But that is not our agency's intent, that is not our intent to displace anyone. And one of the reasons that we have not been able to do any significant modernization efforts is because we don't have any other affordable housing to temporarily relocate people to. So that's when you would hear me constantly talking about the 62 fair clubs and the 62 fair club units, right? Because at least there were 62 fewer units that are some 900 applicants had to wait on, right? So that's where we are. But yes, our partnership is ingrained within our cooperative agreement. So like it or love it, we married, okay? We're married. And we plan on being a good husband and a good wife, or what's another you need? All right? Any questions for me?
Thank
No, I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Looking for this partnership. Again, myself and my Commissioner Jones, I'm in full agreement with the partnership to make sure that we do have lots that come available that Palatka Housing Authority get them first dibs at them, and so that they can continue that partnership we have when we have Mr. Nelson, when we had two constructions that went in on South 13th Street. Many of you might not know about that, the partnership that the city had with Mr. Nelson when he came in, and some of us wasn't on board, some were. But again, I do value that and look forward to the partnership. And we do, and that is the agency's plan. The agency's plan is to increase and maximize the stability for multifamily housing, which right now are those outstanding 62 fair comp units. However, we are committed to financial literacy for our residents and those who are willing, able, and desire to become homeowners. We want to expand upon our homeownership program.
That would be the ideal for these particular properties for this partnership, that it's individuals that will be able to have their own home, be on the tax rolls, ideally.
And again, what we had back in 2017, 2018, 2016, 2017 period, when we made that partnership, there was a lot of, we call a lot of flack for allowing that, but everything worked out for the good. And, those two units still look very good in the community. We were getting a lot of pushback on.
Well, that which is good, we plan to do better.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have some comments on this particular agenda item. Ms. Roach. Name and address and please.
Hi, Cheryl Roach, 312 Dodge Street, and I'm here to address the property on the corner of Kirby and Morris. That is my neighborhood. I walk past it regularly going to another ignored historic gem, Westview Cemetery. I implore the mayor and commissioners to look past dollar signs and see the potential of what that corner of the city could be in the future. We'll not get into the water source depletion or the environmental impact that possibly filling and developing that land would do to our town. Even though I know in my gut it would be devastating to remodel that area with tract housing. What I care about is looking forward to what the beauty of restoring that ravine would be without breaking the bank. And it would be an appearance on a huge thoroughfare that is highly traveled. Selling that plot would not bring in that much revenue to rationalize the destruction of a natural resource, which is what that property is. And it could enhance our city for all. It's worth much more than the maximum 20,000 appraisal. And I do think there is other property that could be utilized in the city to provide housing for the needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
What was that last? I didn't hear the last comment. To provide.
Housing authority needs.
But I think it's safe to say that we didn't make that determination as yet, so that statement was a little bit premature.
Well, I'm not privy to what's in front of you, and it's not on the screen, but it is obviously on the list of potential.
It's on the list for discussion and directions. However, we have not given directions. You've heard comments from some of the commissioners in favor of, but you hadn't heard from all of us.
Okay, and I'm simply just making a comment as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Just want to make sure.
Would you like to see this? You can look.
Oh, sure, I'll take a look at it. I'll give it right back.
You can share it with me.
The League of the Kitchen, State 27,000 Street, Palatka, Florida. My comments are about the Kirby Street and Morris Street property also. First of all, this is not, it's R3 zoning, and it can be multi-family, but this is not a buildable lot under R3 zoning. It's 50 by 100 feet. Under R3 zoning, you must have a 60-foot frontage and 6,000 square feet according to the zoning code. Even with multi-family, it won't work. It's a buildable lot. Perhaps a PUD could be put on there, but the issue is this. The city needs to keep that lot to preserve the integrity of the ravine that Osceola Creek flows through. Osceola Creek drains 399 acres of the hill area of Palatka all around Hank Ryan Park. It drains down through the underpass. It comes under Krill Avenue. It comes up behind the Lions Club. It's the Burr Hodge Post behind the Lions Club. It flows through that ravine behind this lot, behind the Lions Club, goes under Kirby Street, under the ravine, under the old Florida Furniture property, comes up by the lift station on River Street and empties off the 45 acres of Wilson Cypress. If something is done, and if something is done with this lot that would somehow or the other stop the flow of Osceola Creek, you're going to flood the whole hill area of Hank Ryan Park, all that area, not the park, but all that area around there. You're going to flood the underpass. You're going to flood down past Mr. Beaton's house on Krill Avenue. And then when the river's blocked, when the creek is blocked, when the river rises, then you're going to flood River Street in the South Historic District. I think the city needs to keep this particular piece of surplus property as a way to protect the integrity of the flow of Osceola Creek. The other lots, I don't care what you do with them. Partly Latin housing, and that's probably a good idea, but this is a different situation. It's come up 3 or 4 times, and each time I've gotten up and spoken on the importance of it. I think the city needs to retain this, definitely, to retain the integrity of Osceola Creek. We'll do that ravine. If that ravine gets blocked, Osceola Creek gets blocked, and you have a major problem. one brief thing, about Black Housing Authority. They said they had 900 folks on waiting list for houses. The discussion came up several years ago. I think Mr. Foreman just got on the commission. He correct me if I'm wrong. And they said they had 900 people waiting. And the question was, how many of those people are local for Palatka or Putnam County? And the answer was no, they're all about the county. But I don't have any problem with you partnering with Palatka Housing Authority as long as they're building housing for local citizens. Thank you. And but please preserve this law enforcement curb. It's very important for the environment. Thank you.
Just that .12, lot size corner of Kirby Street and Morris, that's what you were talking about?
Yes, that's what you,
Okay.
yes.
All right,
Yes, it's 1.12 acres.
yeah.
And by the way, the property appraiser has been assessed at 9,000, and I do understand, sales prices and stuff, and the, realtor is listing it for a low of 12,000 to a high of 19,000, depending on how long it's on the market. But it's not a buildable lot, so they have to, I don't think you get a variance to build on that small of a lot, but this is something you all need to keep, and any property around it that you'll keep it to preserve the flow of Osceola Creek. Please, thank you.
I just have a,
Commissioner
I just have
McCaskill.
a here, question. Yes, ma'am, sorry. You and Ms.
I need to
Rose
exercise.
said that. Our street is okay for us to partner with, for like a housing authority. North 11th Street, the southwest corner of North and 11th, northwest corner of North and 11th. In Edgemore and Hudson. That they can have that, right?
Yeah, I got no problem. Those aren't as far as I know, they're not environmentally sensitive, but I'm concerned about Osceola Creek.
Yeah, I'm like, clarify.
Yeah, this is just the one downtown, across from the cemetery behind the Lions Club and Burr High School. So, yeah, this is the one that's. I mean, not the part, but this is called a flooding issue.
Yeah.
Major issue. Like,
Commissioner Campbell, did you want to say something? Commissioner Campbell? Okay, so, staff are looking for direction on the whole process, so we need to go. Direction?
Yeah.
I said, we're here to provide direction, staff, on how we want to move forward with these properties.
I've spoken with one commission before, and she bring up a good concern about the flow, the water flow, and how it, from that area, with that 0.12 acres. Now, who do we need to speak to as it relates to that to make sure that, it's preserved or whatever it may be, as it relates to that, to make sure that we're not doing anything detrimental to flooding, among other things. So can we kind of maybe hold that until we get further understanding of water flow and.
So Commissioner Brown, Ms. Kitchen speaking as a subject matter expert on that, or just, I mean, where did she get that from? I'm still asking questions, it's a piece of land that we're not using, and that recommend.
Well, I understand that, but.
I think you're suggesting the full.
I respect her knowledge.
Can you clarify staff's
I
recommendation?
think with that, Ms. Kitchen,
Okay.
I think.
I'll address Mr. Jones after the meeting. I have plenty of experience about that.
Okay, yeah, you can have the discussion later.
Certified.
Commissioner Campbell, you want to get your yeah, this stuff. Commissioner Campbell?
I say, my point is that we move forward with the recommendation that has come forward with some of the commissioners in regards to, because who's to say how, like a housing committee would even want the property. So.
I'm not saying that.
I have the opportunity to speak at this time. I say that we allow them the opportunity to proceed with any of the options that are listed, giving them the first dibs, not excluding, because again, we don't know if they want any or all.
Commissioner McCaskill?
I don't agree with that because he hit the middle of it.
You're welcome to.
I think we were on point with the partnership part with Palatka Housing Authority in developing the partnership with them.
I'm not trying to block Palatka Housing Authority at all. What I would just want to do, I had a concern that was brought to me before as it relates to the water flow from that particular area. They can have all of the lots, I'm working with Palatka Housing Authority. There's no way I'm here blocking anything from Palatka Housing or anybody else. My only concern was to talk about the water flow and the flooding. That's it.
So I think
Put that on the record,
is
please.
to pull that and get more facts about that particular property. Is that what you're at?
So,
Please put that on the record.
yes, so then my question would be, if you said that we're gonna go with partnership, do we want a table or do we want to allow them to get deals and see where they want to go, what direction they want to go in? Do we want to pull the Kirby and Morris? I just need to know, I mean, we need a clear direction to give them.
Whatever works best. All I know, I've talked to former commissioner Hitchens before, way prior to this, well over a year and a half ago, we talked about that very thing about how that water flows from that very area that she's speaking about and the issues that come up. So that's my only concern. If the staff recommended to sell it, let's get rid of it. But at the same time, if there's an environmental concern, a stormwater concern, I would like to at least look at it and see if we can do something with it.
So, Mr. Griffin?
This may help the commission. Staff is bringing forward a previously approved surplus list for your discussion and recommendation on putting on MLS to entertain offers. Speaking in reference to the stormwater and drainage through that entire parcel, not the subject parcel here, the 0.12 acres, developing this would not impede water flow. However, keeping that entire property together may have more value to the community because it is a passive open space. So it's not staff's recommendation that you should sell it. We're just simply bringing forward a previous list to keep the conversation going. In reference to the PHA, it's our opinion that you still may have to solicit other responses from the public and you could not just grant it to them. You may want to entertain a workshop.
Right, I want to clarify, because I heard Giving Dibs came out. I said we partner with them in these efforts, not to give them dibs, because Mr. Woods came up and clearly said that they could go up to the value. They can, and I think Mr. Hobbs will clarify that. I did not say give them a discount or anything of that nature. However, have partnered with them with consideration of these lots where they can be buildable and help with affordable and workforce housing. So.
Ms. McCaskill?
Was that not my original question when we first brought it up?
No, but I didn't say give them dibs.
Okay, so I think, Commissioner McCaskill?
I'm done.
Okay. I think that we get, what direction you want to do? You want to have a workshop and an information?
Sound like, Assistant City Manager Griffith said it had already been previously approved list. So we already said that we want to put it out. He's asking, how do we put it out on him? That's what he said. And so are we going to back it up or are we going to go forward? I think that's the question.
I think he recommended that we workshop it, so I motion that we workshop it.
We can't make a decision. I say go forward with, that's me. I make a motion that we go forward with MLS list. I'm only gonna get a second. That's at least a move it. I got a second.
Well, there's a motion on.
We have two motions on the floor. That's our problem.
What was the first?
We don't have too much. We have.
I'll have one motion.
That's what we need.
No, I did not. There's one motion on the floor that needs to be addressed. Your motion is not on the floor because we still have a motion on the floor.
What's the motion?
Workshop. Commissioner McCaskill made the motion first. That's what I'm saying. So we have a motion on the floor, workshop. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Question, can we get a question?
Question? We already went through. Question?
Well, the question was, we were given direction on, discussion direction on this.
But we were doing, we're Now we're looking for a workshop, this discussion. And
And I asked the commissioner if you intend to workshop it with the PHA.
That would be great if you wanna.
Just want it on the record, Commissioner.
this time, this time.
So. The workshop. Along with.
Second.
Okay, at this point, you're saying, collaborative or partnership with the housing agency, but I don't know exactly what that entails in order to.
Because when I said workshop, I would expect that.
It's gonna be open, it's gonna be open with. Public, but they can be present.
I'll simply say this, let's have a workshop, whoever wants to attend can attend, so
That's what we're
we don't
saying.
get into individual. Yes.
That's what I thought.
Open to the
What
public.
about further?
So that's your.
Okay.
Second.
You, second, all in favor, any opposition?
No.
Mr. Kennedy say nay or yea.
I said aye.
Okay, so we're gonna call it a workshop.
4 and 2, did you say yay?
I did. I did, I'm just quite. Item H,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution number 2023-R96, a resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute and test Hanson Professional Services Scope and Fee Agreement in the amount of $158,824.19 for the design, permitting, and bidding for the CDBG MIT IR 042 project and providing for scrivener's errors.
So move.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. Number 9,
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for recording the vote. Resolution number 2023-R56, a resolution of the city of Palatka setting forth provisions for the hometown hero and unsung hero awards and providing for scrivener's errors.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Oh, question, sorry.
Well, some of the language I read on there as it relates to, Putnam, I think it was the one where, that he said about Putnam County, you had to do a regular. I've been here for 31 years, spend more time here than I have in my hometown where I grew up at. So all I know is Palatka. And so that would exclude me, and it may exclude others as well who have made significant contributions to this community, not saying that you only have to be from Putnam County and to make significant contributions. I think we need to make sure that, if you make contributions to this community, that you can also be considered. That's my friendly, modification.
I may have misunderstood. I thought that was just an example of what the school district was doing when it said Putnam County.
Yeah,
That
it's
was what I
the page.
It wasn't what we're adapting.
I understand.
Anybody's eligible.
Right,
So you would be eligible.
yeah, right. I just saw it in there. I just wanted to make sure that we
Yeah, that
were
was-
following the script.
Okay.
Right.
All right. That's why we have 14.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? I'm sorry, go ahead.
FEMA notice in Exhibit A, the procedures, for the one for the Hometown Hero Award. Item number 7 says the mayor shall select, but in the unsung hero award, there is no decision made indicated as to who will make the selection.
Because as I understood, didn't we all have a choice in the last unsung?
I thought
Yes.
the mayor and when they submit, and then. run just the work.
Everybody submitted or selected the person.
Right, every commissioner. Like,
Yeah.
Each commissioner is able to
Say
select.
select.
We just want that.
Each one, third.
Yeah.
Select.
So 5 can. be
Right,
selected.
because,
Yes.
So should it read, the mayor and each commissioner can also elect one individual from the list of nominations and may award one per year at any time of the year?
No, may select, not shall, because if we might not select anybody, so we just put may May in there, that'll kind of give a little bit of latitude.
So we need a motion to amend it.
Motion to amend.
To say May,
Exhibit A to include may, to strike out the term shall. Is it in, are we looking at 7?
I could read it to you.
Go ahead and read it.
That's what I'm saying, each commission, to say commission. You know how to say.
Okay. Yeah, so we would add an item under procedures for the unsung hero award that would say the commissioners may select one individual from the nomination list and may award one per commissioner at any time.
So
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. On to public hearings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 2023-13, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing that the future land use map of the adopted comprehensive plan be amended with respect to the following parcel of land, which is greater than 50 acres in size, from City of Palatka Industrial IMD, Residential ORL, and Commercial Com, to the City of Palatka Recreation Rec for the following property: 121 Crystal Cove Road, Palatka, Florida 32177. Palatka, Stinwall Suburban Farms, map book 2, page 39, lot 11, official records book 548, page 1387, plus the ordinance for city annexation of official records book 559, page 1073, official records 586, page 1189, subject to the easement and map sheet 37E, parcel number 3709264000600110, take us to the boundaries of the city of Palatka, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for an effective date.
So, second.
Ms. Walsh?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is, as noted, a large-scale plan amendment to the revising the land use and the zoning from industrial, residential, low and commercial to recreation for the land use, and of course the zoning from Q1A. I can't use the name. Anyway, you already know what it is, but it's proposed to be an luxury RV resort. 177 acres, about 50 acres of that is developable. The rest of it will remain in conservation with passive recreation facilities. I just want to give you brief description because the applicant is here to make a presentation.
Okay. Would the applicant like to come up? Give us information, name and address, please.
Good evening. For the record, Kathy Ebot, American. I am a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. And so are you going to be able to Okay. Good evening. My name is Kathy Yvonne, IRCP. I am the agent for M3 Development. Quick summary of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go through the project. We're going to go through the development plan. We're going to focus on some development features and review concurrency, plan consistency, and that we had some findings from the neighborhood workshop that we had in February. As Ms. Walsh mentioned, we are asking for a large-scale comprehensive land amendment from residential, commercial, and industrial. The site currently has all three land use categories to one recreational. Recreational is required in order for a campground use to be used. The zoning is going from, again, recreational, commercial, and M1, which is an industrial zone, to the ROS PUD. This is a requirement of your comprehensive plan that if you ask for the recreational open space, it must be done through the PUD process. So the PUD is an overlay on top of the recreational open space. Recreational open space allows for and establishes the allowable use, and then the PUD on top of it establishes the standards by which the use can be applied. This is a 400 site RV and 550 site rustic site, so a total of 450 total sites. We're using the established setbacks from the code. The buildable area is 48 acres, about 28% of the site. We have 50,000 square foot of maximum of structures, which would be welcome center, the convenience store, recreational facilities, a clubhouse, bathhouse, those type of facilities. The pink area indicates where the structure sites would be located. The kind of blue hexagon identifies where the RV resort section would be. The orange component is where your rustic campground will be, and you can see over 70% of the site is going to be preserved in conservation lands. There'll be we're going to have 3 different maximum sites for the RVs. Those will be shown on the site plan in more detail. The rustic site, the important thing about this is that we will not allow for direct access through cars. There will be parking in a common parking lot and being shuttled or walking into their official sites. And then we have transportation and recreational facilities. The types of uses allowed on this PUD are the RV resort, rustic campground, amenity buildings, as talked about earlier, the roadway and conservation areas. The utilities, potable water, wastewater will be public and will be on site. Stormwater will be located on site as well as electric. We will meet the the lighting and signage standards as per your land development code. Since the original the planning commission meeting, which we received unanimous support and recommendation for approval, there were some issues that were asked to be addressed by both staff and by the planning commission, and so we have added additional standards in your in the copy of the PUD that you have in front of you. You see those in strike through underline. The additional standards that we are added address the code requirements for the park models. This is to ensure that those park models are maintained long-term, and you can apply the standards either at time of reconstruction or construction. In transportation, we have established a standard that will minimize stacking past the train lane. There is about 400, a little over 400 feet of stacking that goes from the train to the roadway, which is quite a bit of stacking area, but we've established some stacking procedures. We are also going to ensure that there is stacking on site so that ideally people will not have to be stacking off of the site except at the time of a train passing. We also added design standards for our amenity features. They are to be in an old Florida vernacular as shown in the pictures, which are from our additional land development code PUD standards. They will be evaluated at the time of site plan review. We've added design standards for conservation lands, native vegetation, and trees in order to ensure that this site, which is heavily forested, maintains a heavily forested for the future. The minimum conservation lands is 70% of the property, as you can see from the PUD master plan. We have about 71%, so we are over our minimum. We can use passive recreation facilities inside the conservation area so long as they meet DEP and Army Corps of Engineer standards. The native vegetation, we are required to remove invasive species in the buildable areas, and we are to maintain as much of the native vegetation through the construction of this project as possible. In terms of trees, we need to maintain any tree canopies over 8 and on the understory over 4. In utilities, we recognize and have talked to city staff about some of the utility concerns in this project. We will be evaluating those more in detail as we get into the site plan, and any improvements that are needed either on site or off site that directly relate to the improvements that we are doing in the campground, we will have to
address and work with the city to upgrade if necessary. In terms of the operations of the facility, to make sure that long-term the facility is what we intend it to be when we construct it. We've established that through code enforcement, the code enforcement has the authority to maintain, and monitor any activities that happen on this site in terms of facility management, in terms of individual units. So it's not only our facility as a whole, but of the individual units of the RVs that come onto the site. And then in length of occupancy, we will be requiring a no more than 180-day for a 12-month period occupancy. So people can't stay more than 6 months. And we, as per Florida statute, will be maintaining a guest registry that can be evaluated anytime by code enforcement. So those are the additional steps that we have added as part of the trying to address the concerns that were raised by the Planning Commission and by staff after the Planning Commission meeting. Going back into what we had already established, the project features, again, this is a campsite with campground amenities and campground recreation. The pictures that you see here are the pictures that we have used for the design, preliminary design work. They are in that old Florida vernacular that we are established as a design standard. But this is really meant as Ms. Walsh said, a luxury RV resort. This is meant for something that is going to be an outstanding contribution to the tourism and livability of the community. Some of the standard we've done our homework. We are not new to the RV world. We do have other projects going on in the state of Florida. And one of the things that we have found is this isn't something that is just for the visitor, somebody from somewhere else, somebody from out of state, a snowbird or somebody. A lot of these RV resorts are used by those of us who live in the area and want a great place to get away for a weekend or a week on a vacation. So this isn't just for the visiting public, it's really for those of us who live in the area. Again, conservation is really important for us on this property. It's the reason that the project is being developed on this site is because of its natural landscaping. And it's really kind of a unique site for an RV resort. A lot of RV resorts tend to be more open. And this one is more in line with what you would expect from a natural park type of facility. We meet all concurrency standards. One of the questions that was raised during the Planning Commission meeting was the roadway trip generation. Our traffic study, our TIS study, indicates that we'll have a maximum of 123 peak trips per day. Peak trips is the morning trips and the evening trips. Campgrounds, unlike a lot of the transportation studies, there are only studies done for the peak and the peak times of the day. And that's according to the ITE trip manual, which is the kind of the Bible for determining maximum trips per day for concurrency. And again, as talked about earlier, we meet plan and consistency of both your future land use, your land development code, your conservation element, your recreation space element. So we meet all your standards on both your comprehensive planning, your land development regulation, and zoning code. And we did have a neighborhood workshop. About 30 to 40 people attended the workshop. It was held February 9th on an additional property that is owned by the applicant. Some of the issues that came up were regarding the construction of the development, regarding the operations of the development, and offsite impacts, the same types of issues that came up at the Planning Commission and have been brought up by staff. We have worked really hard since the very beginning with your staff at all levels to address these concerns. We have made multiple revisions to our PUD plan to ensure that, to the best of our ability, we have addressed all the concerns, and we're really excited to say that because of that, we have had very little complaints since these initial meetings from the public. I've had a couple of phone calls initially when it went to Planning Commission, and I've had no phone calls since it went to was posted for City Council. So we're very excited about that, and indicates to us that we have the support of the community and that we've addressed fully their concerns. And based on Based on our compliance with your future land use and other comprehensive plan standards and your land development code regulations, we ask for approval for both your large scale comprehensive plan amendment and approval of the rezoning application. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Well, I just got a question that relates to, you said that the, city code enforcement would have jurisdiction coming in and
Yeah,
provide, I guess, I know for a fact, I think with the number of days or whatever that your staffing was up to, was it 14 max? Was it 14 or?
they have a maximum of 180 6 month period, 6 months in 12 consecutive months.
Right, but has this one thing changed with the 14-day, 14 consistent days? That's what, when we talked initially, when we had this RV park thing before, only a few years ago, we talked about the 14-day maximum with RV being there.
So I believe that's the PUD for an adjacent parcel, and it is not the same PUD that we are presenting this evening. This PUD that we are presenting today, we are requesting a maximum of 180 days, which is 6 months, during a 12-month consecutive period. So that standard is still applicable to the PUD for that property, but this is a different PUD with different standards for this property. They are not the same.
That's really kind of confusing me, because both of them RV parks. So we want to do something different for this particular one because of what different, I mean, what rules?
So because your land development code requires a PUD to be used as an overlay district to the recreation open space underlying zoning category. And every time you do a PUD, whether it's for a campground, whether it's for a mixed use project, or a residential project, a commercial project, any PUD, it may be the same type of use as another PUD that you have in the city of Palatka, but that doesn't mean they have the same standards. Every PUD is unique to itself. And in this case, in these standards, what we are asking for is 180 maximum day stay or 6 months during a 12-month period. The 2-week period that is of the PUD for the adjacent property, the smaller site, is still accurate. So that one still has your maximum of 14 days. This is a different application, a different PUD with different standards. There are a lot of the standards that are in this PUD are not the same as the PUD for the other property.
Okay, I need a little bit more understanding, you know.
The reason what a PUD allows for is a PUD is designed to allow for site-specific land development standards. So you use a PUD to address specific site constraints or site-related issues to that property, unlike a conventional or a standard zoning, which the same code would apply to any code that has that standard. PUD is different.
The overall difference between the two, they're both RV parks, and I understand what you're saying about the planning and the development. I just wanted to see what the differences were.
Well, I mean, the reason that we are asking for something different than that property is because this is meant to be something that snowbirds would be attracted to. This is meant to be something that would be not a transitional or something that's turning over. A 2-week stay maximum has a lot of turnover. It has a lot of people coming in and out. What we're designing this resort for is people who would want to come and stay for that maximum of 6 months.
How would it benefit the city? So 180 days versus 14. What pros and cons?
So one pro for,
I guess he's trying to.
you want to,
You can name and address correctly.
Matt, 121 Crystal Cove Drive. So just for the clarification, I think on the PUD for the 11 acres, the neighbors at the time were concerned about it becoming like a long-term stay that would impact their subdivision because it's so close to their property. Since the neighborhood meetings, unfortunately, they're not here tonight. We have 4 or 5 people in that subdivision who are very much in favor of it, and for several different reasons, they couldn't make it tonight. But this property is on the other side of Crystal Cove Drive and Comfort Road, and there's no residential around it. It basically is the railroad, the river, and so there would be no negative impact long-term. And really, to have a successful RV resort, which is what we're doing, it lives off of snowbird travelers. And that is the primary marketplace. And you can't really build an RV resort and say to someone in Florida, you know, you're coming down from Canada and you can only stay for 2 weeks. So that's why, and I think the 2 weeks specifically was because the neighbors were really concerned, you know, with the 11 acres abuts the subdivision. Yeah.
Then do you have aerial view or something that shows where exactly you're talking about? Because you just lost me, because I thought it was the area when you first come in, because so it's not that.
Right. So do the one that has the conservation lands on it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so up where that the amenity building thing is, on that other side of Crystal Cove Drive is the 11 acres. And then the housing subdivision would be up above that. So this is on the south side. As you come in on
the right hand side.
It's on the right hand side. Exactly.
The RL is.
Yeah, so up there, the white RL kind of upside down L at the very top, that's the 11 acres.
I'm sorry. I was trying to zoom into it and I moved it. Sorry.
That's right. So that piece up on top is the 11 acres. And then the property that we're talking about is down here. And then you can kind of see.
It did again. There we go.
That's okay. You can kind of see, this is all wetlands here, and where you see this sort of dark outline, there's about 50 acres left. We're going to be putting the conservation easement on all of the riverfront and that 120 acres. And then just the uplands over on this side is where we're talking about the development.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Any further questions?
Okay, I'm going to open up to public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Question?
I just wanted to remind Madam Mayor, before we take a vote, because the planning board approved this, you need a super majority, which means 4 commissioners will have to vote for.
So you said the planning commission approved.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be roll call, or is it yea or nay?
Let's do the roll call.
Commissioner Tammy McCaskill.
Yay.
Commissioner Justin Campbell.
Yes.
Commissioner Will Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Rufus Moore.
Yes.
Mayor Rowdy Craig.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Okay. Second one, Ms. Prince. Oh, I'm sorry. No. That's-
So you just approved the ordinance for the land use change, is that correct? Do we also have to do a motion to transmit it? And then the motion for the zoning. Thank you.
So motion to transmit.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, thank you.
Moving on to ordinance number 2023-14, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing that the official zoning map of the city of Palatka, Florida be amended for the city of Palatka Industrial Light M1 Central Commercial C3 and multiple family R3 to the City of Palatka Plan Unit Development Recreation Open Space PUD ROS for the following property: 121 Crystal Cove, Palatka Road, Palatka, Florida 32177, Palatka, Stonewall Suburban Farms, map book 2, page 39, lot 11, official records book 548, page 1387, plus the ordinance for the city annexation, official records book 559, page 1073, official records book 586, page 1189, subject to the easement map sheet 37E, parcel number 3709264000600110, providing for severability, provide for scrivener's errors, providing for an effective date.
So, a second.
Open up for public comment, and if you give the public comment, then now we'll put public comment. Question? All in favor? Any opposition? Thank you. Moving along to B. Could you please put it here?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is ordinance number 2023-7, and I would note that this is second reading and adoption of this ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Palatka, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Palatka, Florida, certain adjacent territory identified as Palatka Cedar Grove map book 3, page 192, lots 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, plus the north half of lot 33, excluding official records book 241, page 161 RD. Also that part of closed Hampton Road, official records book 626, page 185, excluding State Road 19, parcel 2, 10, 26, 6870, 400340, 510 West Talbot Avenue, contiguous to the boundaries of the City of Palatka, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the second reading for an annexation of this property. You've heard it before. It's for a proposed restaurant and the northeast corner of Toll Road and State Road 19. And they are asking to come in so that they can connect to water and sewer.
I have a question. So for mom and pop, they're asking for the zoning change for high density. So, well, it said we're gonna change it to, I don't know, I remember reading it last time.
Yeah.
To high density use.
And it's going to C2, commercial land use with a C2 zoning.
So the county, it was for low density, as I read, and then our use that we're gonna approve, we approved it perfectly and said high density, right? Am I right, or was I reading something wrong?
I think you're looking at a different property. I'm not sure which one, but
The one I asked about being contiguous on State Road 19, how
so
was it?
it was originally in the county, it was a CR or commercial land use,
High density, low density,
commercial,
It's light.
Just commercial.
just
Commercial
straight
light.
commercial.
right? None.
At the land use level, they don't designate. That's in their low intensity. Commercial. The intensity level comes at the zoning category.
That's what I'm asking, that's why I'm asking the question. So is it low density for the county? That's what it's currently, when we pass it.
No, sir. It's
Light density, I mean, it says light density. Changing it from light density.
For the land use, it's commercial to commercial. No distinction. For the zoning, it will be from Putnam County Commercial Light to City of Palatka Commercial Intensive, C2. But both of those designations are C2 in the county and the city.
Just C2, I get that. This is an educational piece for me.
Yes, sir.
So light density versus high intensity, that's what,
There isn't much difference between the two zoning categories between the county and the city. They just call it something a little different. The permitted uses within those zoning categories are very, very similar.
yeah, I see it's just educational piece for me.
Yes, sir.
I want to be,
I'm trying to
see, understand. And that's what I'm trying to do.
You're supposed to know the last time you went.
I'm too late, I asked another vote. I'm asking.
You need clarity, you need clarity.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Anything further, Ms. Walsh? I'm going to open it up for public comments. Seeing none, closing public comments. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. Ms. Krantz?
Again, for adoption, ordinance number 2023-09, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing the official zoning map of the city of Palatka, Florida be amended from Putnam County Commercial General Light C2 to City of Palatka Commercial Intensive C2 for the following property: 510 West Taos Avenue, Palatka, Florida 32177, Palatka Cedar Grove, map book 3, page 192, lots 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, part of north half of the lot 33, excluding official records book 341, page 161 RD, also part of the closed Hampton Road official records book 626, page 185, excluding State Road 19, parcel number 21026. 6874060340, providing for severability, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Second.
Again, this is the second reading for the zoning change from county C2 to the city of Palatka C2.
I'm going to open up for public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, public comment.
You want me to make them?
No, I'm just thinking. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. No, you're just looking to read the direction.
You're trying to look at that.
This is also brought to you for adoption. It's ordinance number 2023-10, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, annexing the corporate limits of the city of Palatka, Florida for certain adjacent territory identified as 3815 Reed Street, part of the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter, official records book 38, page 558, parcel number 2102640036040, contiguous to the boundaries of the city of Palatka, providing for scrivener's errors and providing for an effective date.
Second.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a very small parcel of property. It is located right at the entryway to Lowe's on Reed Street. It's on the east side of that entryway. There's currently a consignment store there. They are seeking to connect to water and sewer, but they have not been in the city, thus they need to be annexed in the city so that they can connect. Again, it's a very similar situation to the last one where it's going from commercial to commercial, land use and zoning.
I'm going to open up for public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Just a little, I think it's when I read everything over, you say Zabruba, I say Zabraba. It is Zabruba, and it's spelled with a U, not an A. His name is John Zabruba. It's actually UBA. It's not ABA. If you look at all his documents,
So it's been misspelled.
It's being misspelled. His name is misspelled. Just for the record.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, since we wonder what we're going to application.
When you look at the application,
It's
it's the way he writes it, but it is a U, not an A, and it's Zabruba.
Got it. Thank you.
It's because Don corrected me. Anyways, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. Next, Ms. Grant.
Thank you. Ordinance number 2023-12 being brought to you for adoption. It's an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing that the official zoning map of the city of Palatka, Florida be amended from Putnam County Commercial General Light C2 to City of Palatka Commercial Intensive C2 for the following property: 3815 Reed Street, Palatka, Florida 32177, part of the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter, official records book 38, page 558, parcel 2102640036040, providing for severability, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Second.
Any other public comment? Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, close public comment. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? You? Ms. Grant?
Madam Mayor, I will read the ordinance number 2023-15, and if I may note, joining us via telecommunications technology is the city's pension attorney, Anna Klausner-Parrish. Ordinance number 2023-15, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, revising the code of ordinances of the city of Palatka, Florida by revising section 250.45 Fame Investment Authority and restrictions, providing for severability of provisions, providing for inclusion in the code, repealing all ordinance in conflict herewith, providing for an effective date, and providing for scrivener's errors.
Second.
Open up for public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, public comment. All in favor? Any opposition? Thank you. Ms. Krantz?
Thank you. Again, being brought to you for adoption ordinance number 2023-16, ordinance of the city of Black Florida, revising code of ordinance of the city of Black Florida by revising section 25280, same investment authority and restrictions provided for severability of provisions, providing for inclusion in the code, repealing all ordinances, conflict herewith, providing for effective date, and providing for scrivener's errors.
Second.
We'll go with public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, thank you. Emergency items.
I'll make a motion that we accept this as an emergency item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, this is resolution number 2023-R106, the resolution of the City Commission of the State of Black Florida authorizing the Palatka Fire Department to accept the 2023 FM Global Fire Prevention Grant in the amount of $3,900. The FM Global Grant Award is intended to be utilized for iPads for pre-fire planning and fire inspection activities, amending the 2022-2023 budget accordingly, and providing for the
Second.
You, Taylor.
We applied for that and global grant. They ordered it to us. We want to use these iPads for completing inspections, trying to go paperless. And also they play into the pre-planning programs that allows us to outline the buildings, where all the utilities are, where the closest hydrants are, and all the exits and all that sort of stuff, so that we can protect our firefighters as they go into these buildings.
Thank you. Any further questions? Public comment?
Question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Commissioner comments? Commissioner Campbell.
Yes, my only comment for tonight is, maybe look for something that's more formal than this. Be identified. I'll leave that to staff, but something that's a little bit more formal and something that's, because that can be a little distracting, to citizens that they look, but we know what it is, but just something that's a little bit more formal. Because we are broadcast live, so some of that is very unsafe.
Well, I did that because I know we needed something as a way to figure out who was going to be up next. And so prior to, we had nothing, and everybody was just going in without following Robert's rules of order. So that provided some. So yes, we would like for staff to do that. And again, I don't think it's tacky. I think it was a way to at least let somebody know that you're up for next speaking as it's around the rules of order. Just speaking out.
It was my comment, and it wasn't towards you as a commissioner. I was speaking to what had been brought to my attention. It was not to, I appreciate you bringing some kind of order. However, my request is to make something a little bit more formal. It was not directed to you. Thank you.
Commissioner Jones.
I don't have any further.
Anything further from Mr. Wall?
No further comments. I just want to thank the staff for the wonderful job that they continue to do day in and day out. We thank you for all you guys do and continue to keep the city, young city shine. Thank you.
Share the thanks to Commissioner Boyle. Thank you, staff, for the hard job and wonderful job you all do. We were just out in Tallahassee on Wednesday, and we got raised reviews of the great job that you all did on council day on a lot of it. So thank you all for the hard work. Thank you for perseverance.
They spoke about specific, staff, and I think that need to be recognized with our Assistant City Manager Jonathan Griffith for his efforts with helping get these funds, Mandy Tucker, as well as Sonny Krantz, and Mandy Tucker is there. So those three people were given rave reviews by our lobbyists who, worked tirelessly to get us some funding and, the city of Palatka is going to be very, very, pleased with what we got coming down the pipe.
Thank you. With that, make a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion for the.
Thank you.
Oh, that's the amount of things I want to, thank, Mr. Peter Woolman. I didn't meet you last time I was out, on remote, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to welcome you to the, city